Hello everyone, this is Steve with the Free Bullion Investment Guide. Today is September 14th and I'm doing a review and outlook price analysis video for the US dollar. This is the US dollar 4-hour chart, and to quickly go over last week's video, I had shown you these two patterns. One is a large rising wedge, which is a negative pattern, and the other one is this small falling expanding wedge, which is a negative pattern. The small negative pattern was confirmed as pretty much expected last week. I did not expect the large rising wedge to be confirmed last week, simply because up here is where the dollar ended last week's movement, and I really would have been surprised had the dollar fallen so much in 1 week. It did give a considerable fall during the course of the week, but I just simply would have been surprised simply because of the positives for the dollar that are in the market, which is surprising considering its movement. We've had better than expected retail sales numbers come out. The trade war hasn't been nearly as combative as it's been in the past. Both Trump and China have both been conciliatory. Trump well, that's a different story, but Trump delayed tariff hikes on the Chinese. Plus, China has exempted U.S. pork and soybeans on tariffs. Now, I will just say one thing. I read several weeks ago that they were having problems with their pork industry, I believe they're having an issue with swine flu. And so that's the reason why I think they added pork to the soybeans. The soybeans, our industry, really needs China to buy up our soybeans. The soybean farmers have been hit hard this year, and we really need them to take, and that is a very conciliatory, nice gesture of them to exempt soybeans from the tariffs. So it's kind of yin for yang. They need us for the pork, and we need them for their soybeans. But also, that earlier story that I showed, Trump said he would consider an interim trade deal, which is a conciliatory type of a gesture to China. So that should have brought the price of the dollar higher, or instead of simply help it move sideways instead of this constant fall. But and plus we had a better than expected retail sales number, which has helped the yield curve to rise. Well, to not be inverted. It helped the bonds to rise in yield, and it should have been more of a catalyst for the dollar to rise, but that didn't happen. And that didn't happen simply because I think the dollar, it was in oversold territory. I don't know what else to peg it on as far as the dollar's fall. So I'm going to remove the large, well, this kind of small actually, falling expanding wedge. It was confirmed to the upside about midweek, and I'm going to leave for the outlook for the US dollar the rising wedge. It is kind of broad in stature, but you can see it a little bit better there in the daily chart. Ultimately, the two lines do come together way up in the around the dollar mark, but I don't think we'll see that. And excuse me, the $100 mark. But I think, quite honestly, looking at the daily chart, we could see the dollar continue to fall in price. We'll really have to see what happens, comes out of the Fed meeting and what is stated through that. I'm expecting the Fed to drop rates by 25 basis points, nothing more, and I expect them to be a little bit more hawkish, to be completely honest with you, and not so accommodative. I'm sure Trump will have issues with that, but I've been paying attention to what the governors have been saying, and they sound like to me like they're not into this dropping rates, and they've been kind of doing it just because they raised them too fast. To be completely honest with you, instead of raising them at one time and then waiting a quarter or two, and then raising them again, and then waiting a quarter or two, and then see what they should do. So that's what I think they're going to do. They're going to drop them this coming meeting, and then just wait it out and see what happens. And maybe this December will be the first time that we don't see a rate hike, because every December since the 2015 we've seen a rate hike. So, but we'll really have to pay attention to the news and see what happens after the 18th when the Fed comes out with their statement and Jerome Powell has his conference. So for the outlook, I do look for a little bit more downside for the US dollar, for it to break this rising wedge pattern. And then next week I'll be back to you with looking for a new pattern to tell you more so on what we can expect on the dollar's outlook. I thank you for your time this week. Take care and God bless.